Hello everybody, my name is Slippery Jack, and today I am talking about the new debut album by Thermionic, Neural Node. Alright, so Thermionic, that is the project of Scottish musician James Muir. His style is very reminiscent of the Warp Records artists of the 90s, especially like Plaid and Aphex Twin and Orbital. I don't know if Orbital is Warp Records, but those you can hear like lots of that kind of influence on here. And honestly, I don't like the direction that IDM and electronic music in general has been taking. It's become way too overproduced, way too mechanical, and the movement of it. I don't like the movement, especially like of EDM. It's like EDM is now like incorporating elements of hip hop, and it's not even fun to dance to anymore. I could rant about these genres all day if I wanted to, but yeah, with the direction that modern IDM is going in, they might as well just keep rehashing the 90s sound. I mean, like Square Pusher did that last year on his new album, and yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that, but at least it didn't sound like complete plastic, like a lot of the ones today do. But anyways, this project, however, is a real breath of fresh air. It keeps that 90s influence, but it blends those elements together in a way that is very original and cannot be copied. I mean, that's not to say that there aren't plenty of moments where that makes you think like, oh, that sounds like Aphex Twin, that sounds like Boards of Canada, that sounds like Orbital, because that is something that I notice a lot on this album. But the more I listen to it, the more I realize how unique this album is. Like I said, those influences are very noticeable, but it is a very different sound, and I certainly have a reason to listen to it. This album is very diverse. There are some fun danceable tracks on here, and there are also some emotional ambient tracks. But there is a very definite flow on here, and in order to fully appreciate it, you need to listen to this album from front to back in one sitting. The album starts out in a more bright and fun kind of way with Free People, which has some fantastic melodies and some Orbital-esque vocals. The beat and the bass line really remind me of Square Pusher, his more electronic and melodic stuff, that is. And this one just really came together nicely. I really like it. Great intro. Fallen is more hard-hitting and mechanical than Free People is. There are some big synths that sound like they wouldn't be out of place on Wish You Were Here. It just has this overall epic sound to it. It's almost cinematic. There's lots of great build-ups and payoffs, and it's really catchy. It's just a ton of fun to listen to. And then there's Scotland Yard, which is more in the ambient kind of side of things. For me, this is definitely the most emotionally rewarding song on Neural Node. It opens with this dreamy yet melancholic melody with some horn samples that really gives it like an almost everywhere at the end of time kind of vibe, before going into a more orbital kind of section, but retaining like a dreaminess. It kind of reminds me of the song Lost. And it ends in the same way with those dreamy, melancholy melodies. And yeah, it's really good. This might be my favorite song on the album. Ascension is also a really nice atmospheric track. It's more of a chill out kind of thing going on here. Has some nice ambient pads and comes together in a really beautiful way. However, this is not like the most memorable track on the album. It's a great track, but it doesn't really stick with me. And Defibrillator this one has a very hectic sound to it. It's got some melodies that really remind me of the Age of Empires soundtrack. sometime in the second half, there's this big bass line that comes in that just sounds awesome. It takes the place of what would probably have been a distorted guitar had this been a rock track. There are some brighter melodies that like come in with that bass line at some point that are like, that give it like almost a happier sound. Really, really cool track here. Parallax is perhaps the darkest song on the album. Once again, this is more ambient stuff, but it has a very subtle build to it, and it's definitely like very emotionally rewarding. Not as so as Scotland Yard is, but still really awesome. Unfortunately, though, this is not the most memorable song on the album, but still one that I have reason to return to. Nightfires, once again, another darker ambient track, but with some orbital elements thrown in there. It's got like some percussion and this awesome bass line. And this song just sounds so dang cool. It's got lots of awesome melodies and a great build-up and an overall cinematic quality. And like when those church bells come in, it just sounds so awesome. And the album ends with Playtime, which has a very plaid-like quality to it. It's got a playful melody, as the song suggests, and a voice saying, "This is fun!" And this is and unfortunately though, this is probably the weakest song on the album, if I had to pick. And like, it's in reality, this is not a weak song at all. This is a very strong song, actually. This is a great, I think this is the best possible outro Thermionic could have picked. It's got the melodies are great, the pads are great. It's got a little bit of a cinematic thing going on again, and it's just and it's very memorable too. A song that I would definitely return to out of context. And yeah, that is Neural Node, and it is a great album. Very, very consistent from front to back. Not a single track feels out of place. And I am excited to hear what Thermionic will do in the future. And this album, it's one thing that I really love about this album is that like its emphasis on melody. I find that there's too many electronic artists that focus too much on their rhythm, their grooves, and their beats. And I think more artists should try and shoot for an album like this that focuses on the melody, but will also push forward to make a new sound while still using elements from the past. I just wish we'd see this more with some of the great pioneers that unfortunately are not going as hot now. But yeah, this is some great stuff. I am overall feeling an 84 out of 100. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe to support the channel. Drop a comment telling me what you think about this album, or what you think I should review next, or just like anything that I should do. And I will see you all in the next one.